YouTube, what a YouTube, Down Home News TV. I am Dre. We got a video coming from Art of Dialogue featuring the one and only Judge Joe Brown. Title of the video is Judge Joe Brown Goes Off on Bill Cosby Allegations and Exposes Why He Is Innocent. Let me see. I'm gonna play a little speed to it. Hopefully, Mr. Art of Dialogue doesn't give me a copyright infringement, but let's see what happens. Let's check it out.
Bill Cosby, do you feel like he got a fair shake or no?
No, he wasn't. I said from day one when they first got ready to charge him, I said they can't. Because what went on is this one woman sued him civilly, and he properly expressed the Fifth Amendment. I have a right to be free from self-incrimination. You cannot compel me to give evidence against myself. Well, in a civil case, you can. The defendant can be required to give evidence against himself, but in a criminal case, you cannot. So what wound up happening is the district attorney, the elected district attorney, the office holder, committed to office through a very detailed letter that said, we have absolutely no intention of prosecuting Mr. Cosby. He said, we've thoroughly investigated this matter and we found that there is no substance to it and the witnesses and the parties complaining are not reliable. So the civil judge said, okay, now since you have no Fifth Amendment liability, you have to give a deposition, where he never admitted committing any crime, but he did say they asked for drugs and I gave them the drugs they asked for, and sometimes we did have sexual activity, sometimes not, etc. That's not confessing to the crime, but that does state the action that might be interpreted as a criminal action. Well, okay.
What if there was a way to know if a stock will be bullish or bearish the day before? The truth is, there actually is one.
You got somebody running for DA, and this person swore up and down that they were going to prosecute Cosby and they were not going to be held to what the previous DA had done committing to office. So they turned right around and used the civil deposition as evidence for the crime. And I said, they're going to do this. They can't. That's Fifth Amendment. There's no way, no how. The office is bound. You cannot do that. And that's exactly what happened. On the appellate level, the state Supreme Court said the case is kicked. You can't convict him on that. That is too bad a violation of the Bill of Rights. The other thing was, as I talked to Dr. Cosby personally after he got out, he told me that he hadn't been in there a week when they approached him and said, if you'll just go along with this, we'll make sure you're out in a week or two. He said, no way, I'm not going to confess to anything I did not do. Yeah, they wanted the drugs, but that wasn't anything wrong. You know, with that, I didn't force them. They did what they wanted. And the woman in question, you got to look at her. She wasn't Miss Cutie Pie like she used to be. She looked like she'd been rolled hard and put away wet. And it was obvious she was jump starting her career with a bit of casting couch intent. Like this thing on Valentine's Day, she called him up, I think it was testimony 16, 17 times on Valentine's Day. That's inconsistent with what was going on. The judge lost control of his courtroom. His significant other wanted this prosecution badly, and he was letting the jury look from the floor above the courtroom down as topless women were running around talking about do Cosby in. There was communication back and forth between the sequestered jury and outsiders. He let his courtroom get out of hand where fanatical women were giving demonstrations. And as I said several times before, when you looked at the list of the people or the pictures of the people that were involved with making the accusations, well, guess what? They had done that casting couch thing with great enthusiasm, and apparently their casting couch performance wasn't much better than their professional performance. And they don't look like they used to because old age has settled in, but, you know, that's just preposterous. It was a thing where they wanted to prove a point. And they had another agenda. Now, part of that agenda, I'll give you an example of it. They want to make a new felony rape category. It's called rape by seduction. In other words, the way they say, you're supposed to call somebody up and say, hey, look, I'm kind of horny. You want to go out to have dinner this Friday, and if it's good, you know, we can get it on. Okay, fine. That's not how it works. but they want to make this a felony. If you say, hey, let's go out to dinner, you go out to dinner, it's a great night, good restaurant, the wine is cool, the conversation's great, it's spring or fall, you decide to go for a walk in the park and you hold hands and somebody says, your place or mine, and you get to somebody's place and kissing and hugging and petting and all of that. It gets hot, heavy, and everybody gets all hot, wet, and bothered, and clothes come off, and you get it on. Is that rape? Of course not. That's human nature. But they want to make it rape because what they say is it's supposed to not happen because that's rape by seduction. If you seduce somebody, that too is rape. So you're supposed to carefully ask and say, do you want to have sex? And if somebody says, let's have sex, then you can proceed. You want to go further? Well, okay. And then you're supposed to ask before you penetrate again and then stop in the.
Are y'all understanding what he's explaining to us? That is ridiculous. These court systems are horrible, man. Do they just sit up and say, hey, let's make a law banning scissors or something like that? It's just ridiculous. I know that has nothing to do with the situation, but it's just how so far gone it seems to just make up laws suggesting that every little action leading up to the sexual encounter has to be verbally expressed. I mean, I can see once you get to the final step saying, hey, is it cool? Can I go in? Oh, yeah. I can understand that, but may I touch you? May I kiss you? May I stroke your hair? I heard something else when it comes to the litigation processes or laws. What are they called? Ambulance chasers. And they was saying mainly more liberal cities tend to enact all these regulations and various laws that's continuing to strip us from various ways of life and basically creating this culture of ambulance chasers just suing for every little situation, fast way to get money or try to get money. But it just reminded me of me hearing that story about that.
In the middle, is it all right to continue and then stop and get a written statement? It's all right to finish, not quite literally, but just about that bad, which nobody would get laid and you wouldn't have any human beings floating around on the planet. That's not how we work. But these clowns want to make that a new felony category of rape by seduction. I mean, you got to wonder what kind of sad, pathetic life do they have? And I look at it kind of another way. What do you see anytime you see a human? You see a successful screw. That's what it's all about. And a successful screw, 9 months later, something pops out what got screwed. And then it grows up and it has a successful screw and something else pops out. And that's why we have all these people on this planet and why we didn't all die out in the last ice age. But these clowns want to disrupt that cycle and say somehow or another what humans have been doing for the whole time we've been here is somehow wrong. Now, it just doesn't work that way. So again, this is a deviation from human nature, and these people are crazy. It's like, hey, man, have you ever had any, or are you playing 40-year-old virgin? And then you look at the stats. They're kind of depressing. Right now, for example, there are more virgins who are female 25, no, excuse me. There are more boy virgins 25 and under in America than there are girl virgins. So there are more girls 25 and under who have had sexual experience than boys. That's kind of crazy. 35 and under, there are more girls who have left home and gone on their own than there are boys. Something's wrong with this. 2011, the Pentagon wrote all of these research papers, and they said, we can make you physically strong, but we can't make you mentally tough because you're not getting exposed to enough influence from real dads. 13 years ago, they said if you would put all ethnicities in the pot in America, 42% of the Americans 35 and under were born out of wedlock, and it's 82% for those who are 20 and younger. Where is this going? They noted that, and the facts are still consistent, only 28% of each year's high school graduates are boys. A lot of boys aren't graduating who should. Only 28% of the supposed graduates are boys. Only 32% of the college undergrads are boys. Only 36% of the college grad students are boys. And only 44% of the workforce are guys. And then for the last 50 years, we've had an official take your daughter to work week, but not one take your son to work week. So something's being done wrong to the boys that is keeping them from having mental toughness.
I think we had that when I was growing up. Take your, well, it was take your child to work day. I don't know if they still do that anymore. I don't think I ever heard of anything going on like that. But as of late, since I've been an adult, but I don't know. I could listen to Judge Joe Brown all day, honestly. Him and when I want a good laugh, I could listen to Jesse Lee Peterson all day. But unfortunately, there's not enough time in the day for me to do that. But I'm gonna leave it right there. Hopefully, this doesn't get a copyright. Down Home News TV, I'm Dre.